Welcome to In Your Element, the podcast that unlocks practical wisdom in higher education, where leadership meets real talk. I'm Brendan Hinkle, Manager of Solutions Engineering here at Element 451.
And I'm Daniella Norden, Element 451's Director of Customer Success and Engagement. Join us every other Thursday for discussions with everyday heroes using Element 451 in enrollment, marketing, and student success. We'll unlock the practical tips to help you make waves on your campus.
In Your Element is a part of the Enrollify Network, a robust collection of podcasts designed to help higher education professionals like you grow. Explore our other shows at enrollify.org or check out some of my personal favorites linked in the show notes below.
Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the leading AI-powered all-in-one student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com. Okay, everybody, welcome back to In Your Element. We are live from, I have to look at Kris's name tag to make sure I get the number of C's correct here. The NCCCS conference, the North Carolina Community Colleges System Conference.
Correct.
That is correct. With Kris Burris, who's the Vice President of Student Success and Enrollment Management at COA, because you're going to have to pronounce Albemarle for everyone.
You did it.
My northern accent was getting in the way there. Kris, thank you so much for being here and for joining me live. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm pumped to talk to you because COA has been an Element partner for a long time, but this is the first time we have met and the first time that I think people will get to hear your story. But maybe start at the beginning and talk about what inspired COA to adopt Element. How did you want to use it at COA?
So, first of all, thank you for having me. I am excited to share the story. I think for us at COA, it was really about how do we reach the individuals in our community? How do we reach students, prospective students, folks in our community, in unreached populations in a strategic way? When I started at COA, I think about 4 years ago, it was COVID. So enrollment was declining, and it continued to decline. I think we saw a decline in fall 2021, 22. And we probably implemented Element about 2.5, 3 years ago. And really during that decline, it was what can we do? How can we be strategic? And how can we really focus our energy on the messaging of the college? We knew that the decline in enrollment was not because COA was not providing quality services, quality programs, quality interactions, quality engagement. We knew that was not the case, but we wanted to make sure that we could reach, again, individuals who were not being reached. And we felt like Element was the best tool for that. I mean, we probably vetted, I think, maybe 4 or 5, and Element just rose to the top.
I love hearing that. I know that you were previously at another North Carolina conference on another panel. And one of the things that stood out to colleagues that were listening to you talk on the panel was how you affect change and the questions that you sort of asked in your role as leadership, adopting new technology. What's some of the resistance that you saw? How did you address those concerns or overcome that resistance when it came to adopting a new technology like Element?
You know, I think the first thing is you have to have the buy-in from top down. And so it was very important that the president of the college saw the importance and the urgency in adopting Element 451. But the way you do that is by providing the data. So it was all about who are we serving, where are we losing people, what target populations we wanted to focus on. So it was really about creating that story so that people could see there is truly a need. Once we had the buy-in, it really went from there. We made sure, even when we were vetting different CRMs, that we included people from across the college. So it was not just one division, one department. We wanted to make sure IT was represented, not just one person from IT, not just the director, but the person we knew would have to do the work, right?
Absolutely.
You needed that person to be there to hear it, to support the decision, whether it was the business office, admissions, with someone from the Division of Learning. We really just wanted to make sure that we had that representation. I think if you want people to support buying into using a CRM, it is important to have that open line of communication, have everyone represented as much as possible when you're making those choices and going from there. And it has really worked in our favor. And when you approach resistance, you have to be willing to have those hard conversations. You have to be willing to ask questions. And then you hopefully can reach a compromise.
Mm.
We were fortunate that, hands down, we all agreed Element 451. But we could not have gotten there, I don't think, if we didn't have the representation across college that we had in that initial phase.
Yeah, so I'm hearing buy-in for sure. And I've heard some departments you listed that other folks have not listed. So even like on the academic affairs side, student services side, that's super important. And then using the data to your advantage, I think it's one of those things that often intimidates people. They don't know where to start with the data. They don't know what data to pull. They don't know what data is going to be meaningful to leadership. But I think what you can do is you can tell that story with the data that you find, right?
Yeah.
So you can use it to your advantage. Yeah. I love hearing that. That's fantastic. Okay, I have to ask you about your title, because student success and enrollment management are not a pairing that maybe you think would naturally happen. Tell me about your role with Element in that role and where things sort of overlap.
So student success and enrollment management is really working with students or prospects all the way through graduation.
I love this.
So within this division, it's admissions and recruitment. You've had advising and student success, financial aid and scholarships. You have student records, the registrar's office, student life and leadership.
Oh my gosh, Kris, what don't you touch? What isn't under your purview?
Even like Title IX is student conduct and accessibility services. And so we really are about that student support side of things.
I love this.
So anything that is involving the student that's not related to academics falls within this division. And so admissions is there. How are we recruiting our students? How are we reaching the community? And, it's not about the number. I am a strong believer, and you would not know this about me, but even before higher ed, I had a counseling background. And so I've always been about human services. So moving into higher ed, it's about, especially here at COA, being student ready. And so everything we do, it's really about, are we doing things to be ready to receive students?
I love it.
And so I think that's at least what we try to lead with. We tell people all the time, we're trying to change the culture within our division and how people see us as COA. So one of the things we do, because admissions and recruitment is in our area, is we now present ourselves as a resource for the community. So it's not about applying to come to COA, it's how can we help you to get to where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And we use Element 451 for that purpose too. Is if we're hosting a financial aid night, a FAFSA night, or a open house, or any of those things, we tell people, come. Even if COA is not your choice, let us help you anyway. And so I think that shows that we're like, how do we use Element to get people here, show that we are truly a part of the community? And it really has worked in our favor.
That's fantastic. Are you also finding, so it's so nice that you've got that continuity across all of those divisions. Are you finding things earlier in the student cycle that can support them later in the student cycle? So maybe, I don't know if it's support services. I know academic doesn't necessarily fall under there. Maybe food insecurity or housing insecurity. Is that something you're seeing earlier?
It's interesting that you say that. We have done I think, a great job of identifying wraparound services.
Oh, I love that. I've never heard that. Wraparound services.
Yeah. So recently, we're always looking at data, but we looked at some gaps, and what we saw is that there was a gap between students who receive Pell and non-Pell students in performance measures. And so with that, that meant how can we help these students? And so we created this wraparound services brochure. So it's about the academic and student support services that are available. We even decided that we were going to do a differentiated advising model, which meant it was more intrusive, that we talked about those barriers or potential barriers head on. We shared that material with them. You follow up with an email, and we're really trying to push those services. And the booklet includes, again, academic and student support services. So it's going to talk about the academic support center, tutoring, library services, but it does also lists the student assistance program that's free to students, findhelp.org. It has, oh my gosh, accessibility services listed, digital navigator. It's going to talk about financial aid, COA cares, child care assistance. And so it's going to list all of those things in one location for those individuals. So what we find is in the conversations that we're having with prospects, students who are applying to going through advising, we should always be talking about what can keep you from being successful and identifying those resources that are available from the very beginning. Even if you don't need it, we need to make sure they know that we have resources that are available.
Has it encouraged adoption, being able to talk more about this or earlier? Are more students using some of these services?
I would say that we have definitely seen an increase in our student assistance program. I would be honest with you. I think we've seen an increase with tutoring services. We're also doing with some of our gateway math and English courses progress reports. And so if you receive a progress report, then there's going to be a recommendation that students go to tutoring. So there's been some of that there. The other thing, though, that we're seeing is an increase in the number of students applying for COA Foundation scholarships. And so it's really been about, how do we push them there? Like, how do you encourage them? Again, telling people, other people will not apply. You should be the one who does. Don't leave money on the table. Let us help you when we can. And so I think, we've seen that increase there. There's still opportunities like childcare assistance. I would love to see us use more of that. But we partner with some amazing organizations in the community, and they tend to provide a lot of childcare funding and those types of things. And so, but I know there's more that we can do. And so I hope that we would continue to see students avail themselves.
I love this. And is it safe to say that Element has helped you be a little more personal and proactive in this outreach too? Yes.
Yeah. We partner with communications and marketing. And I'm just thrilled that we have such a strong partnership. A lot of times it's me requesting all the things. I'm like, can we change this? Will you give me more? And every single time they're like, let me figure out how we can do it.
Awesome.
We'll do it. And so even right now, I'm that person who's like, can we friend targeted messaging by age groups? Can you do this? And so everything we do, it's like, I don't want just one message. I want every message to be specific to a population based off of their needs. And of course, Element allows us to do that. Element allows us to track people. Element allows us to look at the funnel and see where we're losing folks. And it's been a wonderful tool for us.
I love this. Thank you so much. One final question for you, because I know I've borrowed your time here before our keynote. It's a podcast tradition to ask all of our guests when they are in their element. So, Kris, when are you in your element?
Honestly, I think I'm in my element when I get to affect change, when I get to be a part of a solution. I'm in my element when I'm presented with something that's challenging, difficult, and I get to see it as an opportunity to think outside of the box, to push ourselves, to grow. I'm in my element when I get to reflect and celebrate, even if it's the smallest of wins. And so I would say I'm in my element just being at COA and doing what I do and getting to interact with people all the time. And so I'm just really thankful for what I do and that I have this opportunity.
Well, I'm so thankful you came. I'm also so thankful you're the first person to say that you celebrate and are in your element when you celebrate your wins too. I think that's something we forget about in this industry. We work so hard, but you really have to celebrate hard too, especially when you have something to celebrate. So I appreciate that. That really resonates with me. Well, this is the first day of the conference, so I hope you have a great 2 days you're presenting. Good luck on your presentation. And thank you so much for being here. I really appreciated this. This was awesome. Thank you. In Your Element is part of the Enrollify podcast network. If you like this podcast, chances are you'll like other Enrollify shows too.
Our podcast network is growing by the month, and we've got a plethora of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to be a better higher ed professional.
Our shows help higher ed marketers and enrollment professionals find their next big idea and feature a selection of the industry's best as your hosts. Learn from Mallory Wilsey, Artis Kadu, Maya Demishkovich, and so many other of your favorite leaders in higher ed.
Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the leading AI-powered, all-in-one student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com.